All right, folks. Welcome back to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex. So
And I'm Tyler.
Yeah, we have a special guest. Tyler's on today to talk about...
Alex, you cut him off. Alex, you cut him off.
It's my first day. Sorry.
Sharing a mic
Sorry
here.
about that.
But,
yeah.
So I guess we can just start off by acknowledging that this is 1 week since Game 1. 8 days since Alex Clinton said into the microphone, well, hey, next recording we might be talking about the sweep. Yeah, he said that.
Well, I said we could be. Denver guaranteed it.
So, obviously did not go that way. Series is tied 2-2. That's massive. That being said, before we dig into the minutia of everything, how do you guys feel right now, and what is your confidence level in this team winning the series?
I am cautiously optimistic.
I feel, better after finally scoring more than 2 goals. Again,
if you had to put a percentage on it, what would you put on it?
50. It could go either way. I mean, I maybe 55 just because Barbashev showed up, right, and he finally scored with how good he's been. And he's been doing everything that top line hasn't been doing. He's been hitting, he's been shooting, he's been down in the middle. He's looked good. Wah scored, which is good. Hurdle is scoring. But there's other issues on the team.
Yeah, a lot of issues. To me, the big ones, Jack Eichel not scoring. Shea Theodore single-handedly lost Game 2.
Yeah, that was a nightmare of a game.
And Aiden Hill is posting sub Stu Skinner numbers.
Hey, after yesterday, he's obviously it's only 4 games. Yesterday he had a way better game, probably his best game of the series because they put a lot of shots on goal and he was very good in overtime. I think he might be getting his confidence back that he can make the saves. It's just the defense in front of him has to stop making stupid fucking mistakes, like letting Jared Spurgeon skate end to end and then come around the fucking net.
Let me tell you, boys, this has been shocking,
eye-opening,
for lack of a better word.
Yeah, his stats aren't good.
It's like this is not the team that ended the season.
No.
No,
not at all.
Before it started, we're like, oh, this is a 51 team. They're good at 5-on-5, good power play. Not so great penalty kill, but we were all very confident.
Yes.
And I'll admit, even when I picked, like, oh, yeah, Wild and 6, I was like, well, I'll throw him a bone. But now this really reminds me of the Montreal series. Like, we went in super confident, and then by the beginning of Game 3, I'm like, oh, fuck, we might be cooked, guys.
Yeah, Game 1, he made 18 saves, 900, so right there. Game 2 was a fucking disaster. He had... it was so bad that... No, wait, that was Game 3. He only made 12 saves on 16 shots, and good for a 750. Game 3, he was so bad that he was pulled for Kier Schmid, who did look good in his 10 minutes that he played, I think.
He is a 100 save percentage.
Yeah, and then Hill had an 8-10, so only saved 17 out of 21. But last night, he saved, 29 out of 32, 906. And some of them were, obviously those 3 that were let in, 2 of them were really high danger chances. But he made really, really key saves in the third period and obviously in overtime to keep the team in the game.
He robbed Kaprizov on that pad save.
Yeah, and then, the one that...
Was it a Spurgeon close-up that he robbed too?
It was the one where he dove across and caught it in his pads, but instead of letting it leak out, he held on to it and kicked it back out to Carlson or somebody. That was his best save of the night, and he needs to look better, and he did look better in one game, but
he looked better last night, Game 4, but those
other 2 games were off. Yeah,
he looked real, and it's not just that, like, oh well, they just were finding a way in and bad luck. It kind of was. It was bad defense for sure, but he was shaky.
There's a couple of
his head's going back and forth. He can't find it. He's jerky. He was deep in the net at times or too far out at other times. And then I think it was game 2. Was that the one where he caught it in his pads, and then for some reason
It
he
leaked
turned
out,
over,
yep.
and he basically kicked it right into
Yeah,
his own goal.
it was game 2 because that game was horrific. Like, we were here at Mojave, and it was.
Well, I was going to say, should we just kind of go through game by game
Yeah.
and just kind of.
Yeah.
All right, so game 1, Easter Sunday, the big event. We were hyped. We were here, loud and proud, and it lived up to the billing, right?
Electric game.
Electric game, but it was close. What was the final score?
4-2.
4-2, us. 20. We had 27 shots on goal. Wild had 20. We got goals from Hurdle, Dorofiev on the power play, Brett Howden, and
Brett Howden
on the
again.
power play,
Yeah.
empty netter.
Yeah.
But even then, we could. Little did we know the beginning of the
Yeah.
the trouble was already happening. 'Cause
No,
Matt Boldy was popping the fuck off.
He was great that game,
He
and
had both their goals.
Yeah.
He had both their goals that game.
yeah, Boldy was great. Kaprizov looked really that top line looked really good, and the whole team was playing really good team defense. So it did come down to the wire on a lot of these, and they out-hit us. I think.
Yeah.
The only thing they didn't do was outshoot us, but like all of their shots. We were talking about this yesterday after the overtime win. All of their shots are almost always high danger chances.
Yeah, they're like right in front, crazy pass.
They
like
they
high
are
danger chances.
high danger, and they're calculated shots. They're not taking shots from the outside. They're not just putting it in. They're finding the lane and finding the right shot. They're not just wasting it.
Well, it's funny because they're doing what Cassidy always preaches, which is get into the interior. You gotta get inside. You gotta get inside. You gotta create those chances.
But look at the goals that we scored yesterday. I would say all 4 of them were within 5 feet, 10 feet of the net. Waz sure as shit was. Waz was on a scramble. Barbie's was on a scramble. The Hurdle one was pure fucking luck that it just deflected off of his elbow. And then Shea's goal was just a nasty shot on a power play that he just ripped it. But 3 of the 4 goals were down low in a scramble. Make a move, make the goalie get stuck. That's where you fucking win the battle, and they haven't been doing that up until last night.
Yeah. So game 1 win. I would say we looked good. They looked good. A little
Yes.
back and forth.
Yes.
It was kind of what I expected. Mm-hmm. But I don't know about you guys, and maybe it's cockiness in retrospect, but at no point did I feel like we were in danger of losing that game, even when they tied it at times.
Yeah.
So game 1 was pretty good. Game 2
Was
Tuesday.
a nightmare.
Complete fucking nightmare, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Hill gave up 3 goals in the first period.
Yes.
Relatively quick succession.
Yeah, we were down 3-0 very quickly.
And we had these moments earlier in the season, right? And that's when I was freaking out, and I was like, dude, like, they just stopped playing at times. Like,
Yeah.
they literally just looked like they stopped playing. They just were helpless to stop the bleeding. Like, the Wild were doing whatever they wanted in our zone. And then when we did get the puck, we would give it away, or we would just have a super weak play. And then this was the game where Shea Theodore, was it this or game 3 where Shea Theodore collapsed?
It was game 2. It was horrific. They were that pair was -4 or 5.
-3 after the second.
-3 after the 3 goals that you could say Shea Theodore, his mistakes directly led to 3 goals against the team.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it was all 4 were direct turnovers off his stick.
Yeah, just bad puck management.
And there was
Horrible
one
puck
where
management.
it kind of made the rounds recently, but it was a clip and someone posted and they're like, "Oh, huge effort by 27 on this play," and he was directly in front of Hill, and whoever it was in the Wild was charging in stick first, and he just kind of tried to do this like lazy little backhand past the guy, and the guy, it looked like he got the puck and then pushed it through Theodore's stick, and like just no resistance, and it goes through and it gets behind Hill, and I was like, oh god, that's brutal.
Yeah, it was easily, like we talked about it was easily Shea Theodore's worst game of his career.
Oh, 100%.
And it was unfortunately game 2 of the fucking playoffs.
Not the time to milk.
No.
Yeah, and then there was that. So after we were down 3, I think we're all like, well, if you get one early in the second, maybe you can claw back in.
And they got one early in the second.
That's it. And then the Wild got one to make it 4-0.
So it was Boldy, then Foligno, then Zuccarello, then Kaprizov.
Yep.
4-0 within 25 minutes of the game being played. And then it was just nothing. How do you claw back from that? Yeah, we scored 2, but we took too long to respond.
The hope that I felt after Hannafin buried that
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a percentage. It was right
Palpable.
there. Yeah, it was right there. And then Hurdle scored in the third period. We didn't have enough. And it was just... And then another thing with this one is where we saw the power play starting kind of to slow down and fail and not look good. Like game 1, they scored within 10 seconds, right? That Dory goal. And then game 2, we had, there was no penalties in this one. It was the next one, yeah. But even the 6-on-5, yeah, I think it was only against McNabb was the penalties. Yeah, I have I pulled up
dirty details.
I pulled up an NHL reference. It was only McNabb.
Okay.
But we were 6-on-5 and just didn't look good, right?
Yeah. I will say though, this is the first game. This is also the game where a couple things became apparent.
Mm-hmm.
One was that we have absolutely no answer for Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov. No line had an answer for him.
No. They were
First,
getting dominated.
Second, third, fourth. No one could contain them.
No.
And then it also became evident that Eichel and Stone were not doing enough.
No.
Obviously, like we said, Theodore McNabb.
That first line was not playing well at all. They were you watch the Hurdle, the Carlson, and the Wall line. They weren't quite converting, right? Obviously, Hurdle's been scoring, but all three of them could get into the zone and sustain 30 seconds in the zone, get some shots.
Because one of the goals was Hurdle, I think.
Yeah, it was.
And then,
the last goal that we scored.
Hurdle's one of the only guys that's living up to his billing right now.
Yeah.
And I will say that game 2, that was also when I started saying, everyone needs to fucking apologize to Alex Pietrangelo right now.
Yeah. He's been. He was at game 3. I think it was a goal scored against them. It was some broken Hannafin play, right? He's been our best defenseman so far. He's been scoring. He's been defending. He's been getting in there and fucking mucking it up with
Playing
everybody.
Physical.
He's been doing what he's billed to do, and nobody else is following suit. I would say the only other defenseman that's looked good is White Cloud. Everybody else looks like they're not there.
Well, I think it was also that game where he was the only one that was fucking shooting the puck.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, everyone, pass the puck to Zach Whitecloud so he can try to bomb it from the point, because no one else can do anything.
This game, White Cloud he only had one shot that made it on goal, but I feel like he had more. I'll give you the minuses. So Dory was -2, Eichel was -2, Haig and Hannafin were +1. Yeah, Haig and Hannafin were +1. Hurdle was -2, Howden was -2, Brandon McNabb and Shea Theodore -4. Yeah, game 2. Yeah, -4, and then Mark Stone was -3. So a lot of your big guys were on the ice for everything. Granted, they're going to be on the ice more, right, because they're the best players, but they weren't playing like they were our best players. They looked like we said, Shea Theodore was atrocious that game, and McNabb didn't make up for it either. He didn't look that great too, and we were singing their praises, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, how good they have been. Yeah.
So that game, we had 32 shots total. They had 17.
And Gustafson looked good. He's looked good. But then again, when your high danger chances are a couple little shots in the middle, maybe, and then everything else is coming from the outside, of course you're going to save those, or you're going to kick it out, or you're going to be able to use that team defense to help Gustafson play better, right?
What I've seen the Wild doing on defense is, it's obvious they've watched the tapes.
Yeah.
Because they've countered our rush, and that's what we've been good at all year.
Yep.
And every time that we break into the zone, if we even get there, there's 4 Wild already waiting.
Yeah, that was...
No one gets a clean entry.
I know we're only on game 2, but that's a great point. Every time you see Jack try to do it by himself, 4 to 5 Wild players just collapse down onto him.
And then the puck squirts out, and then it's a turnover.
Yeah, and then you've got 3 of the 3 great players going the other way. It's usually Matt Boldy or Kirill Kaprizov.
Then we have our top line on defense their whole shift.
Yeah.
If you want to beat us, that's what you do.
Yeah,
and they're doing it.
We were talking about it yesterday. They've been, every time the Eichel line is out, I think he's going to switch the lineup because that's what he did last night. And the team
he rolled lines.
The
crazy.
team immediately looked. He like you brought up a good point. Was like, all right, I'm just gonna. Bruce probably said, all right, I'm just gonna change everything up. You figure it the fuck out and make something work. I'm doing my job. Do your job, and that confused the Wild on what to do, which makes why Bruce is a good coach.
Yeah.
But the Eichel, yeah, you're right. Eichel just is trying. One, he's trying to do too much, which you want him to try to do, but Stone's not doing enough in the offensive zone. Barbie is doing his job.
Barbie has been all over the ice,
Yeah.
putting bodies on as many people as he can.
Barbie is
just trying to.
Barbie is absolutely doing his job.
Yeah, do you guys remember that? I think it was game 1. Back we missed this part, but that absolute monster hit he threw out.
Oh, on
against,
Zuccarello, I think. No.
it was-
Hartman.
yeah.
Yeah, at center ice.
That's what made it extra good.
Absolutely ruined him. It was like the first 5 minutes of the game maybe,
Yeah.
and like Hartman was coming across and didn't see Barbie at all, and Barbie's like, okay,
We're
we're
got
gonna.
bodied by Haig too. And was that game 2 or?
That was game 1.
it game 1?
Yeah, that was game 1.
Yeah.
That was because he was cross-checking Haig in the lower back over and over, and then Haig just tripped too.
Center of a Nick Haig.
And then Haig just turns around and goes, okay. And then just,
Yeah.
of course, Haig's like 6'6", and Ryan Hartman's
it made it
5'8".
look way worse than it was because
And-
he's towering over.
Well,
him
Hartman's a
as he's
flopper too. Like
screaming on the ice.
it was in the game last night.
Yeah, say a lot. I know we haven't got to that technically, but yeah, last night there was.
He was behind the net, right?
Hartman should have gotten a fucking an Oscar for
Yeah.
the acting he put on when Barbashev popped. Give him a little,
He,
pop. He hits
yeah.
Barbashev, and Barbashev just kind of like flinches, goes away, like looks away, like get out of here, and then he just gives him a little absent-minded, similar
soft,
pop,
yeah.
and then head flies back, arms go up, he collapses to the ice, and all the Wild fans are, oh, ref, you suck.
Yeah, but then
Yeah, it's a tragedy whenever the Wild get called.
yeah, God forbid. But yeah, game 2 was awful. We can obviously awful. Go into game 3. Speaking of Ivan Barbashev, the call of embellishment on Ivan Barbashev.
Before we get there, and I'll pose this question to both of you. So game 2 was obviously fucking awful. We were all very glum. But did you have hope that game 3 would be better? And like,
Yeah.
how did you feel going into game 3?
I thought we were going to be a lot better. I mean, I feel like I've been cutting you off.
Game. It's always in my mind. The next game is the turnaround game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
We all three of us said.
Oh, hell no, it was not.
All three of us said after that horrible game 2, this team needed a wake-up call. They needed to understand they're not the best team in the world. They needed to get popped in the face, and they did.
Yeah, and then Cassie had that great quote where he basically said, like, guys, 2023 is fucking over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to, like, buckle down and get shit done here and start competing because guess what? No one gives a fuck anymore.
But then I think another thing I love about Cassie was after that game 2, he said some guys were expecting expecting to be yelled at or like a talking to, but some guys just need a hug. And I'm like, but he's the hard ass, right? He's the guy that Chandler Stevenson had his little
He's so mad all
that
the time.
they have some pushbacking in the locker room. Like, he's a good guy. He's
It's
a
nice
good
to have
coach.
a coach that's a human first.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, that guy's got fired. So
Yeah, so
Right?
but yeah, game 3, I think so. Like, I was optimistic in that. Okay, that was a bad game. Each game is different. It's the playoffs. Yeah, each game is different. It's the playoffs. It can change at any moment, right? And then the Wild promptly opened us up for the first 10 minutes of that game.
In the first Kaprizov power play goal.
Yep.
3 minutes and 13 in. And
It was just a straight.
it was just like the hope was shaved in half.
Yeah, but like
oh,
that
okay,
shot.
just one goal. It's
It
fine.
was a power play goal, but like it wasn't like it was a great shot. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
Kaprizov's
yeah.
got a laser,
Dude.
but it was unscreened. It was Hill could see it.
Yeah, and-
Hill could see it coming top corner.
Yeah, that's when you want your. That's when you need. If
He
you're gonna make a
needed to-
run,
yeah,
your
he needed to make
goaltender
that
needs
save.
To see
Yeah,
that and
yeah.
just
Stop
and
it. Even if like you get in front of it and it drops, and then you figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Unscreened shot from pretty far out, if I remember right. It was past
Yeah,
the circles, right?
yeah.
Because he was
wasn't close.
He was rotating it back down to restart the power play, basically.
It was enough. It was far enough out where when he wound up to take that shot,
yeah.
I was already confident Hill was gonna snatch it.
Yeah.
And then it hit the net, and I'm like,
Shit.
what?
Yeah.
The fuck, dude.
Yeah. It was a shot he should have saved.
Yeah.
95% of the time.
Yeah. 9 out of 10 times. He snatched it.
That was a like I said, unscreened power play shot from like the point, and he just went, oh, okay, it went by me.
That's the one where the commentators say, he kind of wants that one back.
Yeah, and then Rossi scores.
Yeah.
That sucked it out even more.
6 minutes in,
but then
I'm like, oh,
the hope is immediately brought back up because the man that's been solid all series so far,
Big
Alex
bad
Pietrangelo, great shot from the point.
Guys, I was told that Alex Pietrangelo was bad.
It was terrible.
I was told we need to get rid of him.
Get rid of him, and
his contract's an anchor. I was told these things by the internet, so
Nope.
I don't know why you're lying to me.
Yep.
But yeah, just absolute fucking bomb.
Yeah, it was a 4-on-4. It was the Barbashev. It was the Barbashev and somebody offsetting minors when they called Barbashev for embellishment, getting chopped in the fucking knees.
Which, by the way, is bullshit. That the embellishment call wasn't made on, was it Hartman?
Yeah.
When the precedent was set earlier in the series
Yeah.
that embellishment was going to be called.
Yeah, exactly. Because that doesn't. I don't think any other series hasn't had an embellishment penalty called.
I haven't seen any, but I haven't been watching every
And that's
single
also
game.
the other thing is, this series has been called really weird too. So you look at Tampa and Florida, when Hagel hit Barkov, Hagel got a suspension, and then Tkachuk did the same thing, not as blindside, right? Tkachuk did the same thing to, I think, Gensel, and he was immediately tossed out of the game. So they're like, we're calling this even. We're not going to let this get out of control. I know this is much more minor, right? It's embellishments, but like, you get tapped in the chin and your head flies back, fucking like you got hit in the face by a hammer.
I was gonna say, I know I already talked about Hartman rocketing his head backwards at that little pop.
Yeah.
But also fucking Zuccarello basically doing the fucking Peter Griffin death pose behind the net.
Yeah.
Just give me a fucking break.
Yeah, but then again, I am also happy that I know they're obviously embellishing, but they're letting a little bit more go than usually, like with the playoffs, it's going to happen. They're not like letting like little tripping penalties go for both sides. They've gotten away with stuff. We've gotten away with stuff. And there's some dumb ones where they'll just call them like for what, like a light hook. I love that they called it for Hurdle on the power. Like it didn't turn in anything, but Hurdle's got very lightly tapped on the base of the wrist, like very light. I'm like, you see that in a game all the time, and they were immediately. Yeah. But then it called like the interference or whatever it was right before it. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense.
They missed that slashing call. It should have been a high stick and then a slashing on Kolasar. That
he took a high,
caught him in the lip, and then on the way down dragged along his whole arm.
Yep.
And it was fine.
Yeah. And it's playoffs, it happens. But yeah, game 3, and then we had hope, right? And then fucking Matthew Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov rip it out of our souls and get in period 2.
That we had. And then a little sliver comes back
with Riley Smith
on the shorthand.
Power kill. That, if there's anything to come out of this
power
game, Riley Smith and William Karlsson have looked really good. They've been consistently good like both games, even despite getting us caved in. There's pieces that have looked good.
Smith has been working so hard.
He's Smith, Karlsson, and Olofsson they took out for last night, but that line doesn't matter who they put on there. We're just working hard.
Well, and it's the speed and the intelligence. Like, I know Riley Smith's an older player, and we all kind of think, he's older, he's slowing down offensively. He's not literally slowing down. He still skates like a fucking rocket.
At this point, like, obviously we'll get to Game 5 right after we talk about Game 4, but like at this point, I think Cassidy needs to game plan to get Karlsson out against Boldy and Kaprizov rather than the Eichel line, because that Eichel line's not doing anything against.
They're not built for shutdown, right?
They are, but they're not. Their minds aren't right. There's something in their brain that's like, I can't. Like they're not playing the matchup right.
You're right. They are shutdown players.
Like,
however,
like there's moments where you see Stone just level somebody, and you're like, perfect, that's good. But then he's taken out of the play because he's not fast enough to catch up.
Yeah.
And they got a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1 the other way because he didn't have his head up into playing the puck.
So before we hit game 4, I'll ask again. So after game 3, pretty glum again.
I was
Lance
miserable.
took that picture of me at the bar. That looked awful. Where I was just slumped over and looked dead.
Yeah, I was so fucking. And this is going into your birthday. The night before your birthday, we're all just like, I want to fucking die.
Yeah. So after that game, how did you feel, and what was your confidence level moving forward? Because personally, as awful as it was, after I processed it for about 10, 20 minutes, I was able to say, like, you know what? Ultimately, the score was the same, but I think we played better this time.
That was a better game for sure.
Had a little bit more territorial control.
And I think
the lapses were shorter.
Yeah, and I think putting in Schmid for the third period kind of like woke something up in the team, and they're like, oh shit, like we I know Hill wasn't that great, but they failed their goaltender.
Oh yeah,
like with some of these things.
Apparent.
Yeah,
10 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
Next, where I ended up at was after that game 3, I was like, okay, I'm not panicking about the series yet, but something has to change, and it has to change quickly.
Yeah.
Or I will be worried.
Yeah, totally.
If anyone wants a little ray of hope, the hockey guy on YouTube said whoever won Game 4 was likely to win the series. That was his opinion.
Because I know I said 5 games, and then you said 6, right? Obviously, mine's going to be wrong. But we both said last week in the preview, this is going to be a tight series. There'll be some weird games here and there, but this series is going to be physical. It's going to be tightly played. All these players are very good. And like we said, Minnesota didn't have Kirill Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek, who's been the guy that we haven't talked about. Eriksson Ek's been really fucking good this series on shutting down Jack Eichel.
Yeah,
he's been a menace.
And
we finally, obviously, like you said, like your confidence after Game 3, it's like it's down, but you're like, like Jacob said, it wasn't as evidently awful as Game 2. Like Game 2, most of that team was awful, and Minnesota just capitalized on everything. They were the better team that night. Now, Game 3, obviously the score was the same, but it wasn't a complete collapse. It was Minnesota picking their Wild picking their chances, getting good chances, and even Hill had some mistakes, right? But it wasn't as soul sucking as Game 2 was. Like you didn't finish Game 3. You're like, man, okay. Like I remember I got home and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm like, I'm gonna be optimistic because I could be sad all night and sit here and stare into the void.
I will say, to me, in a way, it was kind of soul-sucking still because I was able to write off Game 2. I was like, oh, okay, one of those fluky losses, they'll bounce back. As Tyler said, bounce-back game.
Yeah.
And then when I saw us continuing to lose battles and continuing to get fucking suffocated, like I said, it really did make me think of the Montreal series. 'Cause I remember how quickly that series went south. And, like, I think it really was like Game 3 or Game 4 where suddenly we went from being the heavy favorites to it was an overtime game, and then Nick Waugh scored to that little flip play to still it's burned into my fucking mind.
Yep.
But little flip play, and I think that brought us to like 2-1 or 2-2 or I don't know. Point is, it was kind of a similar part of the series, and I just remember speaking to the hockey guy, he said something along the lines of he's like huge goal, he's like series saving goal.
Yeah.
And that's how quickly these teams look mismatched. And to me, that's kind of what happened in the first 3 games here. We very quickly looked out of our fucking depth.
Out of our gameplay, like out of our game plan too. Like they just weren't playing well.
Yeah.
And totally agreed. But then we get to Game 4.
And before we hit Game 4, one thing that I had on my mind with those first 3 games, because we were talking about it before we went to the watch party. To me, the best I could summarize how Minnesota was playing and how we were playing and why things were going wrong was they're playing our game better than we are.
Yeah.
Hallmarks of Golden Knights hockey, shut down defense, still finding ways to have offensive buzz and players and rush game. And they were doing all those things better than we were.
Yeah, totally.
They were playing way better defense. They were forechecking harder. They were more physical. Their goalie was better.
Yeah.
And so, going into Game 4, I was I wouldn't even say I was optimistic. I was just thinking, like, you either win this game and tie it up, or you lose it and you're down 3-1, and it's basically a guaranteed series over.
Yeah.
You know.
No, totally.
So that's how I felt. Continue, sir.
Yeah. So game 4, was yesterday. We went to Lee's for the watch party. And this game.
Not me. I worked. Too.
I'd say, and Lee's being the Silver Knights Arena that's named after a liquor store.
Yeah, yep, as is tradition. But then, this game started off pretty immediately better, right, than the last 2 games. Whereas, I think in game 2 we had I think it was the first 5 minutes we looked like we had a lot of juice, and then we just fell apart. Whereas this one we had a lot of juice, but the juice was good chances, right? It wasn't just rushing in and okay, here, a couple little bit, but there was high danger chances, and there was a lot going on in front of Gustafson. We had pushback when they got physical, and then Shea Theodore scores on the power play, something that he needed.
His redemption arc.
Desperately.
And speaking of his redemption arc, I will say, after everyone was clowning on him, and I was too, because he needed to be better because he was fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
Before game 4, we were all like, oh, what jerseys do we wear? How do we break us out of this curse? What superstition do we need to do? And that's partly why we ended up going to the Silver Knights Arena.
Yeah,
we're like,
break it up.
Sorry, Tyler, we need a change in the vibe here.
Yeah,
also, my dad had never been there, and he wanted to see what it was like. But I was looking at my jerseys on my rack, and I was like, which one? Opened up with gold, then we lost in the gold, and then I tried to switch the vibe up with gray, also lost in gray, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting my red reverse retro Shea Theodore, and I was like, because Theodore needs the extra juice.
Called you from the void. It's just like,
yep.
Wear me.
And then, and then before the game started, they had this thing scan this QR code, and you can win something. And so I scanned it, and then you enter in your information, and it's like, who will score the first goal tonight? And, had all the players listed, and I was like, Shea Theodore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying I'm psychic, but I might be psychic.
You're not saying you manifested that win?
Hey, I need you to... I'm going to need you to help me out with my future if you have some...
The next one, you should pick Jack Eichel. Maybe he'll actually score a goal.
Let's just go down to State Line and get some tickets and some lotto numbers.
Theo scored on the power play. Looked good. And then... had a good play, and then it was kind of like a broken, I think it's a general broken play and some defensive lapses, and Marco Rossi just chipped it in right in front of Hill. And then the same thing as as their second goal. Got to watch an ad to get some.
So sick of ads. God damn it.
So yeah, sorry guys, we're trying to look at the numbers for the game, but we have to watch an advertisement for NHL Edge first.
Yeah, I pulled up the game by game on NHL reference, so if we want to go through it. Yeah, you're looking at the goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a broken play,
bad
bad defensive coverage, and...
It was a dump and chase.
Well, I think this is the one that Nick Hague just completely fucking blew and lost the bat. Yep. Came way out of position, chased the shooter behind the net, way too slow, couldn't get a stick on it, lost the battle. Quick... Then quick pass, and then, I don't blame Hill for that one, because it's literally the definition of prime shooting area.
Yep. And then the Foligno one was kind of the same idea, too, right? It was another broken play, and Foligno was just standing there right in front of Hill, and nobody was covering him. You want to watch this same commercial?
I got to watch another ad.
I love the NHL. Yeah, right? It's the dead air that you don't...
All right.
Yep, and then Foligno's going to pinch up
so
Roch.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Okay, no, that was a...
Yep, and then...
to the outside.
Yep.
Rebound off a Hill.
Yep, and nobody collecting it, nobody being aware.
So they're moving the puck so much that everyone's disjointed, right? Everyone's looking for someone to cover.
But that's also the thing that we talk about is with the game plan is their game plan is short passes, short, right, easy passes, and that's all that was.
It's very direct. They're playing a very direct game.
And we're over here trying to stretch the fucking ice half the time.
And I will say at this point, this is when I was like,
you were pissed.
I'm done.
You were thinking about going home.
He's like, don't worry, there's a lot of game left. And I was like, no, I'm taking off my jersey. I'm getting
burning
in my car,
in the parking lot.
And we're not going to finish this game. We're also not going out tonight. I'm going home. All I want to do for my birthday is go home, and get under the covers and
cry.
sob.
But luckily, thank God you decided to stay. We all decided to stay. Nick Waugh then scores on the power play. Off of it wasn't even just a set play. The puck leaked out in front of the net, and he was just there. Maybe if the...
I feel like signing up for Edge now.
No. Wait, so you can edge yourself with all the stats? Like, watch. It's going to circle back out, and Waugh's just going to be there.
Oh.
Yep.
So, worth noting, before this power play, or the result of this power play, it was because, I forgot who, but someone basically took Mark Stone's fucking eye out with a stick. That's why Nick Waugh was out on that power play, because he was in the back getting stitched up.
It was Zeev Buum, 4-minute double minor, and
that shit was
Stone
gnarly.
was hemorrhaging blood from his eye.
So on our hockey, there was a Minnesota Wild fan that claimed that Mark Stone scratched his eye on the ice when he bent over to fake his injury
Oh, nice.
to draw blood, like he's some WWE. Fucking
Yeah, like
wrestler.
he's got a razor in his pocket, so he just cuts
and-
his eye.
Yeah, and it was some conspiracy to eke out a power play.
Well, like maybe like you Buum knew he fucked up because you could as soon as it called, he was like he wasn't even complaining. He was just skating to the penalty box, and he looks up. He's like, well, shit.
Yeah, so like when I saw him go down, I was like, oh, that's obviously high sticking. But then I was like, oh, he's in pain. And then I was like, oh, he's pissed. Like he was fucking furious.
Yeah, he wanted
And
to be back on the ice, but they couldn't close it with like the glue or something.
Yeah, it was hopefully a soon-to-be iconic image of him with blood pouring down his face, fucking screaming. I'm guessing at Buum. And
yeah.
I don't know what he said. Fucking keep your stick on the ice,
And
kid. Or something,
it was legit because nobody on the Wild were like defending Buum in that moment.
And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I kind of feel that like seeing him get like that and like him being pissed off and seeing the blood and shit and just
really
just all the
boosted the
shit that's
team,
been
yeah.
going on this series, I think this was kind of the turning point of this
Yeah,
game.
I think so. Oh, the next goal, the Hurdle goal, the one that just got flung in, and
Yeah, that's the one where
Hurdle and Hartman were just like wrestling in the middle.
Hartman fucking wrapped his arms around him like they haven't seen each other in years.
Yeah.
And dragged him to the floor.
Yep. Got it. Yeah, it's gonna. This was also ridiculous too. It's
So,
like,
right
yeah,
there. And then, of course, Wild fans are like, "Oh, Hurdle tackled him." It's like, dude, you can't tackle in reverse, bro.
yeah. Look, Hartman is holding on to his
Yeah.
wrists on the ice. Like what they could have done to stop that play was call that penalty as an interference,
Yeah.
or called it as roughing, but they didn't.
It would have been a. They both.
And then
would've
this
taken
celebration.
penalties.
Grabbing his elbow.
He had no stick.
Yeah, no stick,
He
grab
didn't
his
need
elbow.
it.
But he scored, I think, like you said, Jacob, immediately a big momentum shifter, right? You at that point,
And then again, just the fact that Nick Waugh scored that goal because
Yeah,
he was
the
only
power
on the
play,
power
yeah.
play because Stone was in the locker
Yep.
room. That was when I was like, okay, we got some juice here, boys. We got
Yep.
some life.
Yep, and then
Fine intervention.
yeah, and then Hurdle with that's the thing they talk about is with puck luck, which I think the Wild has had a lot of just good
Yeah.
chances and getting just goals in.
They've been squirting out in front of
Yeah.
all of their big, their big hitters.
Yeah, and that was puck luck for us. Right, just Stone had his head up and he saw just a kerfuffle in front of the ice, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna send it down there and see what happens.
And if Hartman doesn't do what he did, we don't score that.
Probably not. No, because if he were to just defended Hurdle or skated with him, there wouldn't have been a lane to pass anything to. It would have been clogged.
There wouldn't have been a bumper to bump off of.
Yeah. No. Exactly. It would. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it was off of his elbow or not. Like even if like Hartman, as long as Hartman played hockey and not wanted to be a WWE wrestler and throw Hurdle to the ice. Yeah, and then literally not less than a minute later, that Jared Spurgeon goal.
Bears, a wrap
It was
that was so.
He came from like what, the other side of the ice all the way down the. I forget how fast Jared Spurgeon is.
All the little dude.
Yeah. I thought he was huge, but I always confuse him with older Wild defensemen. But he's like only like 5'8", 5'9", maybe. He's a smaller guy.
He's
and
a small
fast.
guy, but he's the classic, small, but he makes up for it in skating and skill.
And this was good. It was great for him because he came all the way down the wall, wrapped around, and saw nobody was in front of Hill, and he just okay, I'm gonna pop it in. Here, I know they didn't challenge it, but
They probably could have.
they could have. But I understand why they didn't.
I'm glad that they didn't.
I very much understand. If this goal was a 3-2 goal and we were up, I could see them challenging it. Totally could see them challenge if it wasn't a game tying goal. Yeah.
yeah.
Put up his arms in an X immediately.
Yeah.
Because he felt Kaprizov.
Yeah,
push
because
him
watch
down.
Kaprizov's elbow if they replay it.
You can see he
Yeah.
leans into
Yeah,
it
he
and puts him into
you
the net.
you could say, well,
That and he
watch right
basically
here,
takes the stick
right
out of his
there.
hands.
Yeah,
and then
he
there
pins him
again.
against the post.
And you know what? He'll damn near save that too.
Yeah. I just watching it happen behind the bar and watching all the replays and not understanding why it wasn't challenged. I'll never understand.
I understand why they didn't want a situation like what happened to LA
because
the night
it was
before. It's the
tie
same
game.
exact situation. But granted, I don't think that was interference in LA. I think that could have been 50-50 on that call, but they challenged it. Tie game didn't work, and immediately on the next power play, Edmonton scores, and that game's over.
Yeah, so I understand why Bruce didn't challenge it, because I agree. I'm like, maybe that's like a 50-50 call.
Mhm.
Like, I always try to remember our own biases, because I'm like, to me that's
go. Yeah,
you can't skate into someone and
but then the way
take the stick out. But then I'm like, well, they could argue that it wasn't intentional, and his skates were outside of the blue
yeah,
ice.
and they could say that the defenseman pushed him into it. It's always
Exactly.
a 50-50 call on
So
goaltender interference like that.
So I don't know about you, but I don't know about you boys, but after that was the one that tied it, right?
Yes, that was 3-3.
So 3-3. So at this point, this is where I was like, in a way, I was too emotionally exhausted to feel like, oh, we just got fucked over, we just got burned. Of course, it happened again, and I almost feel like the team felt it like that, because I feel like the mood shifted from like, like going from like, oh God, we just can't. Why can't we do anything? I feel like the mood shifted from that to like, you know what? Okay, you want to keep going? Like, you want to play? Let's play. We're just gonna fist for fist, pound for pound, hit for hit.
Yeah,
we're gonna fucking fight in this series has quickly turned into like a very unglorious like Saving Private Ryan fucking death struggle in the mud.
That's I think
very much so.
I kind of expected that, because Minnesota deep down is a good physical team, and they've got a lot of nasty guys. Like they've got Foligno and Hartman, but Boldy's a big dude too, and their defense like Bogosian and Middleton, they've all got guys that will hit, and they're nasty. They're a nasty team. And like Jacob said, like, finally, I think that caused a little spark in their brain, like, oh no, like that was bullshit. They're fucking us. We can be better. And obviously it goes to overtime, and it was quite a high tension overtime. Obviously, in playoff OT, it's always high tension. But good God,
it opened up with two breakaways, one for each team, and two big saves for each goalie.
Yeah,
and that's when I was like, okay, that was badass. But guys, do not do that again.
Both goalies were great in overtime. Like, I know obviously Barbashev scored and we won, but Gustafsson was really good all game, and he had a great overtime. It was just a puck that leaked out and nobody had it, and it was unfortunate. And then Hill had his best period of hockey was overtime.
Yeah,
he was making he was making Hill saves, like athletic saves, tracking the puck well, just laying out to make saves. He was playing great. And they
came up big on that breakaway.
Yeah, there's quite a few chances on both teams. Like,
real big.
And then obviously Barbashev. This was just a.
Well, before that, let's not forget the Wild got a power play in overtime
on Waugh. Yeah, it was a holding call.
And that one I felt was so soft and so shitty. And wow, the amount of ads they are going to make us rewatch this goal is just sickening. This is why the cap is going up, though.
For a 15-second clip that I recorded on my phone the other day.
But to me, that holding call on Waugh, like, maybe I was emotional as OT. I'm a fan, but I was like, that is.
It was funny,
horseshit.
right?
Of all the shit they did not call in this game and in this series, you were going to call that in overtime of a huge game in the series, like. I was going to toss my fucking cookies. I could not believe it.
It was hilarious, too, because, like, right before that, like, not maybe 2 minutes before that, I think Dave and Shane were both like, penalties don't get called in overtime. That doesn't get called in overtime. Like, you're going to play on. It's going to be physical hockey. You're going to have some calls that should have been called. It's not going to happen. And they call the softest fucking holding call. in the world. Luckily, the guys killed it. And I think that's what led in. That was a huge momentum shift. Is okay, we got screwed again, but now we're going to kill this penalty, and they killed it. And I think for the rest of that period, we had most of the solid chances because that was at 8:00. That was into 10 minutes in, right?
I think both teams really. It was a really tight period in the sense that both teams kind of after that had extended zone time. Like first it was our way, then it was their way, and then not just one and done rush chances, but like now they're really controlling it and getting zone time, and then a minute later like oh shit, well now we're really controlling it.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't there a point where we had like a 2 or 3 minute shift in their end?
It was about 2.5 because I know
Kaprizov was stuck out there for 3 minutes.
I know it was brought up that Kaprizov, Boldy, and somebody else was out there, and that's why I think that was right before our goal happened that we hemmed him in, and they had to get a change, and then we came back in.
Yeah, but it was this was an extended zone time area or extended zone time failed clearance.
Yep, failed clearance, and then
it was. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? I can't.
We're done with that.
This is some dog
But
shit.
failed clearance by a Minnesota defenseman, and it just leaked straight to the center of the ice. And I think somebody got a shot. It may have been Waugh that Gustafson did save, and
it was a backhand into the center by Smith, I believe.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Yeah. So
Nick Waugh, Riley Smith.
I made an Instagram clip, and I had to time the song just right, so I ended up watching it like 30 times.
Let's see. Yep, there it is. And then it was just a scramble, and Barbie got
Smith
it.
backhands into the goalie, scrambled, and so
but that's what needs to happen.
I did not see it go in.
Neither did I.
So I just saw puck movement, scramble, goalie's out of the net. Oh my god! And then suddenly I see the red light go on, and that's when that building fucking erupted.
Yeah,
like it was silent. Just everyone's like, and then red light goes on, and then just a beat, and then
yeah, it was crazy.
Same thing. The Bard. Everyone threw their hands up. Everyone's screaming. The bells ringing.
Yeah,
and it was just a big sigh of relief.
And that's a goal that you want, right? That's in the middle. A great play by Riley Smith to recognize he had two guys in the middle that were past both of their defensemen, and just threw it in. Something's going to happen. Right, and obviously something did happen. Barbie chipped it in. Great backhand. Gustafson was way out of place.
I mean, you threw it on net.
Yep.
And you hope for the best.
Yep.
Right?
And then this is from that game. I don't know if he keeps the lines that he jumbled together, but
that's one thing I don't think we mentioned during this game. He hella jumbled the lines. He had Carlson with Eichel and Dorofeev. Yeah, I don't even know what the other ones were.
I think he just threw everything together, just mixed them up.
He threw everything in a blender, and then
I did read Pearson left for half the.
He didn't leave. He just didn't play.
No. He left the bench sick, for some of the third period.
I heard someone got sick, but Cassie said it was Howden.
Oh, was it Howden? But he was still out there. But Pearson just didn't play, so maybe that's why it was jumbled more.
Yeah. So because he said it was two separate things where he said someone was dealing with an illness, and that turned out to be Howden.
Okay, it was Howden. I thought it was
But then
Pearson.
when they asked about Pearson, I think he said, I just wanted, the way we were playing, I just wanted to roll three lines. So basically he did the classic desperate coach and jumbled the lines and only rolled the 9 best players over and over again.
Unfortunately, that meant that I think it ended up being Kolesar and Pearson didn't play nearly as much. I think Saad didn't play as much in the overtime either. I know it was a lot of Barbie, Waugh, and Smith, and then Carlson, Eichel, and Dorofeev, and then Hurdle was with somebody, with Howden maybe.
Howden did take a stick in the eye earlier. That
he did. There was a lot of high sticks.
Game,
there was a lot of high sticks in that game
to
us. Yeah.
Guys, that is Vegas propaganda trash. They are. This series is rigged because they're trying. I don't know if you guys. Another thing I saw. So I'm sure you all know. Vegas revenues are down.
I saw that. Yeah.
Tourism is down. Canadians are not visiting Canada or not visiting Vegas anymore. So now they are artificially lengthening the series to have more games in Vegas to increase revenue to bring tourists to Vegas.
Yeah, I don't know how there's no other way for us to make money.
Yeah.
No other way.
We entirely depend on Canadian tourism, right, guys? I saw that and I was like, yeah, tourism is down, but who's spending that much money at casinos anymore? You're only thinking that.
Don't even try to rationalize, Alex.
No,
it's
just
fucking
stupid.
stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb.
You don't validate stupidity by responding to it. You just point and you laugh.
Yeah, it was a dumb comment.
Minnesota is so close to the border that they have absorbed the Canadian victim complex.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone's against them. I don't know if you knew this. The only reason the Caps are up on the Habs in the series is because it's rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged. It's not that
no
the
other
Caps
reason.
Or
No other
the
reason.
Team.
Dude, I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that, but yeah, we're going into Game 5 Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Tuesday the 29th.
And Jacob and I are going to that game. Jacob won tickets.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I should have mentioned. So once I entered that contest and said Shea Theodore would score the first goal, I won 2 free tickets to the game.
No idea where we're setting. The lady or
because they haven't emailed me back yet.
Yeah, they'll, I'm sure they, like you said, they work normal office hours. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's pretty exciting.
So yeah, we'll have boots on the ground, but that aside, and I know I keep posing this question to you too, and I'll do it again for this game. Huge fucking game, obviously. Huge win, massive win.
Needed that win.
I may or may not have made a mess of my jeans adding that overtime goal. But how do you feel now going forward? What's your confidence level at? How do you is this a big swing in momentum? Is it the temporary blip of a drowning man trying to claw to the surface?
I think it's a huge swing. Well, you go first.
Yeah, I think this is the game where it gets turned around.
Mm-hmm.
We eked out that win. Our experience showed out.
Yep.
To get us tied in this series. Game 5 is. I think there's going to be a lot of film watched.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of maybe some change in tactics.
I think so. I think there might be there may be the lineup won't change, maybe outside of Pearson getting benched for Olofsson
but potentially
for somebody.
Roles on the ice might change a little bit.
I think so. I really do think they have. I'm not saying you're going to stop them, right? Because Kaprizov, Boldy, and Eriksson Ek have been very, very good together.
Yeah.
Just fucking slow them down.
Yeah, it's getting more physical as the series is going on, and I put a body on him, man. Like if you got to open ice, some open.
Yeah, you're gonna have
up.
I'm not saying you have to hit the guy,
no,
but
you don't have to kill him.
You have to kill him. Just hit
let
him.
him know that you're there.
Yeah, let him.
Don't let him run around freely in our.
Yeah,
in the zone.
Exactly. You're gonna. I really do think that the forward lines might change, like in that. It won't be like a total change like last game, where it's like just all over the place. Where there'll be guys that did play with each other, and it'll be a little bit different. Like Hurdle and Stone might be together. Dory might be with Eichel, and maybe somebody else might be up. Maybe even Howden might be up there. Like, I think the problem that really I saw with the Eichel line was he is trying to do it too much by himself, trying to cut through the zone. But there's not a lot of guys trailing. Like Stone wasn't behind him. Stone is waiting, for the puck, that's his game, right? He's smart. But you need with Eichel, especially now, probably want some speed with him. Maybe you put Brandon Saad with him. Maybe you put Saad and Dory and just switch the centers up and just roll from there.
Right.
Try a different look on getting more speed on the ice, but then again, do you break up the Hurdle line that's been so good so far?
Well, yeah, but that Hurdle line. That was one of the changes. They put Stone on that line.
It looked good, yeah.
And that was a look that we had last year, and it didn't stick together because they were both injured and slow as fuck, and they had to get broken up.
Yeah, now they're both healthy.
But that line looked good. They had some looks.
Yeah, maybe
I will say this: I truly do not know what he's going to do.
No, I have no idea.
No clue. I think this is where you really need to rely on the depth.
Yes.
So usually, what's our MO? We rely on depth in the sense that we can keep these lines together. Because the third line and the fourth line can get shit done,
and they've looked.
And
the
then
fourth
we
great.
We don't care about matchups. We don't chase matchups, and because we have faith that lines 1 through 4 can be paired against any top line, and maybe not score, but at least survive the shift.
Yeah,
that has clearly not been the case. And as much as we make fun of other teams for doing it against us, I really think we need to. If we want to survive this series, I do think it might be time to juggle those lines again, and then not be afraid, especially on home ice, not be afraid to play the matchup game.
Yes.
And say, hey, you know what? Actually, we do need to keep Eichel away from Eriksson Ek.
Yeah.
And,
as soon as Erickson X out, Carlson goes back out. Over
yeah,
that. Or Hurdle goes back out.
Or you can. They did start winning those battles when they had Eichel and Carlson on the same line.
Yes.
So maybe you keep that together, and you lose your 3C, but now you have a line that is faster and better two ways, and can hang in there and win battles against
because you still have
Erickson Ek line.
You still have Brett Howden, right? Like. That's a guy who's been actually pretty good this series is Brett Howden. He can center the third line and play with Sod and somebody or Smith or something, and then the fourth line will be just Nick Wong and Keegan Colasar.
Yeah,
they've been good.
Cannot be broken up.
Wong and Colasar have been really, really good this series, and they played their game. They played what they need to do. Yeah. I've had no problem with the bottom six. My problem's with the top three.
I think this game is where we start to adjust to them.
Yes, because they've adjusted to us.
Yeah.
Now we're adjusting to that. Oh yeah.
Now we've had, and coaching is going to come into the picture big time.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's proven he knows.
I think
he's
a tactician. He knows what to do. I think you're right. After that game one, the Wild were like, okay, we know how to do this, we know how to beat them, and they beat us. And then this one's like, okay, we're figuring that concept out of what they changed. Now we're gonna play better, hopefully.
yeah. Knock on big wood.
Yeah, but no, I think going into this game, I'm like, obviously it's like it could be 50-50. I would say like I'm a 55 to 60%, a little bit more confident because it felt better in that game 4. Yeah.
Nice. We're going to take this momentum swing into this game, and it's on at home.
At home. Yeah.
And I'm very, very optimistic about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see us come out and score first early.
Yes, I think that was the key to Game 4 was scoring first, even though they scored 2.
You do not want to fall behind against the Wild.
No, because look what happened.
Down.
Yeah.
So I'll be optimistic until I have a reason to no longer be.
Yeah.
Which means I'll be optimistic until we get eliminated this round or the next or the next or the next.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes.
Talk of the VGK series. We can talk about the rest of the series in the league.
How's everyone's brackets holding up?
Not well right now.
If Ottawa doesn't win 3 straight, it gets blown up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't say blown up. If Ottawa doesn't win 3 straight, I'll have 1 round called wrong. But the one I'm worried about is the Florida-Tampa Bay series. I know Tampa blew them out yesterday, but the 2 games that Florida won in Tampa didn't look particularly close. Like,
well, no, not a single game in the series has been close.
Yeah, it's been.
I'm not convinced that one's. It looked ugly at first. I'm not convinced that it's over by any means. But after those first 2 games, I was like, well, there goes my bracket.
Yeah.
Because that was also around the time that we went down to Minnesota. I'm like, well, I had Vegas and Tampa in the finals, so that's wrong.
Fucking death knell. Well, let's go down each of the conferences. Let's go East first, since it matters less.
Okay.
So the Leafs and the Senators. The Leafs are up 3-1. The Sens finally won a fucking game.
Thank God.
In what, overtime
now
last
my
night?
bracket has
some life.
A sliver of hope.
They won in overtime, but none of these games were blowouts, right? They've all been
close. It's kind of the opposite of the.
I think
Tampa
Minnesota.
series.
I think Tampa. First one was
a little bit of a blowout.
Yeah, but then the next 2 games, Toronto won in overtime, right? Yeah, final OT. So the last 3 games have been decided in overtime. Like these are both these teams are closer than you think they are. Like if you listen to Toronto media, it's like Toronto's blowing the doors off of Ottawa.
Oh, of course. Well, fucking, I love the guy, but Biz is just jerking off. Oh, Leafs, our year.
This is a 1-goal series.
Well, one thing I saw, which never gets old every year, is when they put up the record for Leafs losing in a clinching scenario.
Mm-hmm. What was the record?
They could win tonight, and nope. They lost. So
they're 1-12 in the last 2 or 3 years in clinching scenarios or something like that.
More than that, I think. I don't know how much.
But in recent times,
Yeah.
they're 1-12. They have won one series last year.
Yeah, basically when the going gets tough, Toronto
Gets gone.
gets not tough.
No.
So that's interesting. I still think it's funny to say that, but I still think Toronto wins. But
Yeah.
good on the Sens for fighting back.
Yeah.
Good on the Sens for fighting back. 'Cause
I think so.
I do like the Sens.
Yeah, I do.
I like Brady Tkachuk.
I like Chuck. I like Allmark.
I like Jake Sanderson.
I like.
After the Four Nations performance, Brady Tkachuk has gotten a few notches higher on my list of less hated players.
Isn't it funny?
Same.
These two teams, like with so much hope, like Canada has so much hope in. Most of these guys are American.
Yeah.
It's the battle of Austin Matthews versus Brady Tkachuk to bring the cup back to Canada.
Exactly.
Ha ha.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think the Leafs are. I know I picked the Sens, and I would love to see that win. But I think the Leafs, again, I have no fucking idea what the Leafs are gonna do. I could say we could all say the Leafs might win next game, and they lose fucking 4-1, and then all of a sudden it's getting really tight, and it's gonna be May.
Can you imagine the fucking panic and the
If they
memes?
lose? I think this might be just all the Sens need, and this is exactly what the Leafs did not
Reverse
want.
sweep incoming, gentlemen.
Like,
I would love that.
if I am Toronto, I am like, oh no! Like, you have to come out Game 5 and beat the doors off of the Senators, just nonstop to feel that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because if you give the Senators an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Oh yeah.
Like
In
the-
playoff hockey,
Yeah.
you can't afford
Like
to
this,
give up
that could be a huge momentum shift in that series. I know the Leafs are up 3-1, but we've seen stranger, right? Like,
oh yeah.
the Oilers almost came. They went to Game 7. They went down 3-0. Of course, I know the Panthers.
the final.
Yeah, the Panthers let off the gas, but the Oilers almost came back. They went to Game 7. It was 3 games. There's 3-0, and they won 3 in a row. It can happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Because Ottawa reminds me of the Florida team that barely made it in our cup run here, right?
They're nasty. They're big.
Yeah, and
they can score.
They play physicality or physical 1st, and then hockey second. I guess.
Yeah, they're all really like Tkachuk and Cousins is on. Not Cousins the lesser, Cousins the better. It's Cousins with a Z. The good Cousins.
Yeah. I do like though how Anthony Stolarz was just able to like hack at Ridley Gregg like a fucking lumberjack trying to chop down a tree.
Yeah.
And then they gave Ridley Gregg a penalty.
Yeah, it's the series has been ridiculous, but yeah, I think the Leafs. I don't know. I think the Leafs will win it, but I will not be surprised if we're all of a sudden
in
Game 7 in 2 weeks, and we're like, oh no, they did it again.
That would be an amazing game.
That'd be hilarious.
The Battle of Ontario.
Yeah, Battle of Ontario.
Those guys are gonna kill each other if it goes to Game 7.
And then the Battle of Florida.
Wait a second. I thought Ontario was in California.
Battle of Florida.
Yeah.
This game's been all over the place. This series, like, Vasi's was not good in Tampa. Bobrovsky
fell short in Game 3 quite a bit. It looks like.
All of a sudden, it's Bobrovsky of old, and you're like, it's happening again.
To me, what's much more juicy than the score or the goalies taking turns
the players
collapsing.
and the coaches.
Yeah, it's the players and the coaches that. So who said the quote first? Did Cooper say it first?
No, it was Maurice said we hit players with our guys hit players.
We only
with
hit
the puck.
players that have the puck.
Yeah,
because it was talk that you got asked about some like brutal.
It was Hagel against Barkov, and it was a penalty for sure. It was an interference. Barkov didn't have the puck, but the puck was not far away from Barkov. He just played it on.
Yeah,
and then Barkov didn't see him, and Hagel just fucking buried him. He went straight through the body, but it was an interference. I think it was an interference call, totally. But then to get a suspension for that, I'm like, okay, it's playoff hockey. And so that's where the quote came out of. And the next game, fucking Matthew Tkachuk decides to do it to Gensel. And then John Cooper said that he's like, well, all our players only hit the...
I love John Cooper so much,
I love him,
dude.
yeah.
Like, he's like one of the few coaches I put above Cassidy, like both in terms of intelligence and product, but like... I feel like everyone loves to stroke off Paul Maurice for being Mr. Comedy and Mr. One-Liner, but John Cooper's like sneaky funny.
Yeah,
like,
and he had some. This series, it's 2-1. I do think Tampa's at least got another 1-2 in them because it's you don't count them out. You don't count a team like with Nikita Kucherov on them and Jake Ensel and Braden Point and everybody. Vasilevsky could maybe figure it out, be good again, but they made Bob bleed.
What's your prediction for Game 4?
I think Tampa takes it. I mean, Florida's not as nearly hard.
5-1.
Yeah, Florida's not nearly as hard to play in as most other arenas.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, let us never forget that last year we won games 1 and 2 against Dallas. Everyone was already writing the obituary.
Yep.
And then we lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just to keep my bracket intact. But I will say
Tampa has it in them.
I think Tampa does have it in them, and I think they're waking up.
Yes.
And much like we have trouble containing Kaprizov, I don't think they'll be able to contain Kucherov much longer.
They won't be able to contain most of that team for the entire series, right? Because like Hagel, I know he got suspended for I think this game, but they still won 5-1.
Wild.
And he's been great. He's a great player, and he's probably going to be feeling like, yeah, well, that was bullshit, so I'm going to go give it to the rest of that team because I got suspended for no goddamn reason when Matthew Tkachuk is just skating out there right now.
Was that a 1-game suspension?
1-game suspension, so I'm pretty sure it was just the last night's game, so he should be back.
So he'll be back for 4.
I think so. And then Tkachuk didn't get suspended, but he did get a 5-minute major. Similar hits, if you ask me, and similar plays, but Barkov played, so what does it matter? It happens in hockey. I think Tampa can. Yeah, I do think Tampa can rattle off 3 in a row, or even rattle off another one, and it's back and forth, right? Yeah, I think Tampa still has it. But if Florida wins one more, it might be the end of that series, even if it's 3-1.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I haven't watched nearly enough of that series.
It's physical.
Get on
it's there. It's I've watched bits and pieces, but like a period here, period there. When I'm not watching something that my wife wants to, right?
for goddamn Sling TV just so I can watch these other teams
play. And especially when it's not like at 4 p.m. on a Monday.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's the thing too. It's like I'm also at work, and then I get home, and the game's half over. And then.
But it's been super, super physical. They've been going at each other the entire series.
So another interesting series, and this one I do hope my bracket gets broken because I said I remembered how much I hated this team, but now that I'm watching it, I'm like,
I hate them more.
But Habs versus Caps. Caps won the first 2. Habs won the third. How you boys feeling about that one?
I think it's going to be the Caps.
I was expecting Caps to be on fraud alert, given their performance on the last 10 games of the season.
LT's look good though. He's looked excellent.
He just got carted off?
He's playing. He's playing right now.
Okay.
He didn't get carted off, but he got helped because I think
he looked pretty.
Somebody
I say carted off because they're 2 guys.
Yeah, somebody on the. I don't know who it was on the. I don't know who it was on the Caps.
Came out.
Yeah, I don't know who it was on the Caps. But one of their players ran into Thompson head first or stick first, and basically collapsed fucking Thompson's spine, and didn't look good at all. I thought, and then this morning, he's skating.
I will say I'm with Tyler with this one. I had the Caps on fraud alert from not even the last 10 games. It's more like the last 30.
Yeah, and there's issues with the team, right?
Yeah, I was also skeptical about Thompson. Love the guy, but VGK legend and all that, but. He was playing pretty bad towards the end, but maybe he was just injured and whatever was ailing him got fixed because he turned it around.
But let's
quickly.
Look at the scores on this. Again, this is not a blowout series. It's Caps won in overtime in Game 1, 3-2. Then they won 3-1 in Game 2. I'm pretty sure that the third goal was an empty netter. And the Canadians dogged them last game 6-3. They're up. The Caps are up right now 1-0. But again, tight series. These aren't blowouts either way. I mean, except for Game 3, but that game was a disaster, and I'll have to find the clip. Tom Wilson, holy, that's the clip of the entire playoffs so far. That was insane.
That was all I really wanted to talk about the series, to be honest, because I really don't like either of these teams. But goddamn, I was watching it live. Yeah. I was frantically cleaning my house because I knew my dad was flying in that night. I didn't want to see him to see how I live. But frantically cleaning, had the game on, and then I look up and some of them like, oh my god, they're fighting on the bench.
Yeah.
They're fighting on the bench.
Yeah, it was the end of the period, and they were like, they were leaving the, yes. No, Thompson's 48 on the Caps.
Oh, did he change his number?
Yeah, he did. He's 48 in the Caps. I'm pretty positive. Yeah, that was, like, I've never, ever, I don't think in even old clips of hockey, you don't see shit like that like until you go back to like the 70s of just like end of period fucking just fist fights and like attempting to kill each other. Like the period was over and it just I was at a scrum at like as they were leaving the benches, and then Wilson decided to push Anderson into the bench and just start wailing on each other.
I think it might have been the other way around. I don't know. They got tangled up. At first, I was like, "Oh my god!" Did Wilson just like hop the board into the bench and like,
but
you're mine.
But it was the Caps bench though.
Yeah,
that it
so
went to, yeah.
I think it was just a scrum that happened to be in front of the door, and they, as they were going at it, they just kind of Peter Griffin versus the chicken. They just fought their way into the bench.
It was. I've never ever. And then did you see
to me, it was the violence of which Wilson was hitting him with. I was like, oh my god! And then,
he was haymakers.
The fact that like he was like low key like hitting the ref too, and like he didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, this man is seeing fucking red right.
Well,
you know how guys like, you don't want to get me mad, man, because I see red and I just don't know. Tom Wilson actually sees
Tom
red.
Wilson is
like all those guys. That's what they're pretending to be. Like Tom Wilson is actually that guy.
Well, they've
He's
been
a
going.
fucking animal.
They've been going at each other all series because again, I've been watching bits and pieces of this this game, and every time I see it, it's fucking Josh Anderson and Tom Wilson doing something to each other, like either cross-checking each other, tackling each other, throwing each other against the glass. I'm like, they're gonna kill each other at one point in this series. So, but did you see that the other angle of that clip of Ryan Leonard and Lane Hudson like holding hands as so obviously it's all going on. There's like 10 scrums going on, and the fight in the bench is going on, and Ryan Leonard and Lane Hudson are just like holding each other's arms, just like, shit, what did we get ourselves? Like, I don't want to play hockey anymore. It's like just two 18-year-olds like, fuck.
They're like, oh god, this is grown man shit. I don't know what to do.
Oh no. And then the next one, we got the Canes and the Devils.
I don't see a way out for the Devils on this
Well,
one.
there wasn't a way out when Jack Hughes was injured 2 months ago. Like, and then
There's
plus
no way.
Siegenthaler, I think, is back maybe, but the Canes have just been like, aside from Game 3, I think the Devils won in overtime. It's just been a strangle. Like, they've just been slowly strangling this team to death and just putting them down.
A 4-1 win, a 3-1 win, a 2-3 loss in OT, and a 5-2 win in Game 4.
It's just been.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm.
This ends in 5.
Yeah. Canes are going to win at home, and it's going to be over in 2 days.
It's a real shame that Hughes had to get, injured.
That's what I question for both of you. Obviously, with Hughes back in, that's a huge offensive boost, right? Like, that's a guy that they are missing. Would it change the results of this series, though? The way Carolina,
Jack in?
yeah,
I doubt it.
With the way Carolina is playing.
I mean, the games may have been
closer,
slightly closer.
The Devils will have better chances of scoring goals, right?
I think Carolina just isn't more all-around complete team.
Mm-hmm.
When Jersey's relying on key individuals,
their
depth is not there.
And the fact that they lost Brendan Dillon, right, in Game 1 or 2, I think, and now
they're missing. That's the problem. They're missing like half their fucking blue line.
Yeah.
So,
and then the other Hughes, Luke Hughes, was out too, right?
Yeah. So to me, obviously losing Jack Hughes is major. But I don't know if I can say for sure that if he was in, it would change the results of the game. They might score a few more goals, but this is what Carolina always does, and it's because of the style of game they play. They play a very high intensity, man on man. They're in your face. They don't let you off the hook. They play that style, and it's so hard to counter until they get tired, which is why they always run out of steam by the third round.
Habs just scored power play goal.
Lame. Fuck Montreal. Like I said, it would help my bracket, but I still emotionally hate the Habs more.
I hate them both, but
that's true.
It's funnier to see the Habs beat the Caps.
It would be much funnier to watch them get bounced What do they got to win? 4 more?
Yeah, if they.
I just want to see. If the Habs win, I just want to see a clip of some Frenchman like, oh, you fell into our Quebecois trap, you arrogant American. Did you know that we have Ivan Demidov?
Yeah, I think that was a power play goal scored by Slavkovsky. Yeah, Slavkovsky. But back to Canes, yeah, like you said.
To me, this was the least interesting series before it
Totally.
started. It
still is. It's that. I think this series will be the first one to be done.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, I honestly think so. And then moving to the West.
Now, the West, I've been paying way more attention.
The West has been brutal.
Than the East.
The
West,
been fireworks.
You can see the parity. It's 2-2. I mean,
well, the Kings might win tonight. I think that was the Oilers' last gasp.
Yeah. Well, let's say 3 of the 4 series are
tied.
at 2.
And the West is better. Obviously, we all know that. But
yeah.
Though the Jets and the Blues 2-2. The Blues.
Man, the Blues
put on 2 absolute fucking shit stompings.
We all knew coming into
Yeah.
this series that whoever had to match up with the Blues was going to be in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
And they are showing it. And,
Yeah.
and curse of the President's Trophy, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, but Winnipeg was good well, I wouldn't say they were. It was 2 tight games, I think. Game 1 and 2. Let me see. Let me bring it up.
Oh, there we go. Your Wi-Fi sucks.
So 5-3 for the Jets in Game 1, 2-1 in Game 2, and then the Blues 7-2, and then today was 6-1, 5-1. So I guess Connor Hellebuck can only play at home, like.
And that's why home ice is so important.
So yeah,
because if it goes 7, they'll finish it the series in Winnipeg.
But I think these two games are such backbreakers, right? Like 7-2 and 5-1. Connor Hellebuck,
just the morale.
Connor Hellebuck has looked awful.
It's got to be so glum in that locker room.
Their defense has been playing bad. Everybody's been playing bad on the Jets.
And everyone on the Blues is playing good.
Yeah, and they're all having fun. I'm sure they're all young and having a blast.
They're like, we're coming in against the top of the league, and we squeaked in the wild card.
Yeah, and then Benner really hasn't been that bad. I think. Let's see. Game 1 was his only, I think, bad game. Let's look.
What are the shots against?
Okay, so Jordan Bennington had 25 shots against, let up 4, and he had an 840. And since then, he's been great.
There's a reason that they kept him in all 4 nations.
Yeah, he's been good since then, and he's outplaying Hellebuck, obviously, and then that whole team's outplaying all of the Jets the last 2 games. I mean, 7-2 and then 5-1.
7-2, and that
both games, Hellebuck got pulled. He got pulled in Game 3 with like 5 to 10 minutes left, and he got pulled. Like second period today. I was watching it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even come back to the bench. He left. He went to the locker room.
He went back to the airport.
Yeah. And so, the Jets kind of have to win their next game.
Yeah, it's a momentum shifting game for Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm. If they win. But if the Blues go to Winnipeg, where it's going to be packed, there's going to be
the whiteout.
There's going to be a mile of people outside of that stadium. It's going to be standing room only in half that stadium, and they win again. The series is done.
Yeah, Winnipeg's done after that.
If St. Louis rips off one more, the series is over, because that's what happens to the Jets. If they get an ounce of fucking pushback.
Dude, low-key, Jets are just the Toronto of the West.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it in our playoff series. Like, the Jets and the Leafs, as much hype as coming into the playoffs, they both have to prove it to us to make us think that they're contenders.
Regular season doesn't matter anymore.
No.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Connor Hellebuck's back-to-back Vezina winner, and both back-to-back playoffs, he shit the bed.
And to me, what it really comes down to is the Jets have all the pressure of the fucking world on them.
And the Blues don't.
Zilch.
They snuck in. They're like, have fun. They got a little fucking voodoo statue.
Exactly. Not just that. It's not just how they finish the regular season and all that. To me, it's the fact that Winnipeg, I think in the back of their minds, they're like, oh yeah, this team is like struggling financially, and like we need to have success in the postseason, or people aren't going to come to games.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. They were the best winning team with the lowest attendance, I think.
Yeah, and people can blame the economy, this or that, value the Canadian dollar, whatever it is. The point is if they want to keep that team there, they need to sell that building out. They need to.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then.
And if they're not winning,
and if the fan base gets disengaged and like loses hope, like oh yeah, well Hellebuck's going to win his second Vezina in a row, but like if he
who gives a shit?
If he collapses every first round, what does it matter?
Well, when's the last time they made it out of the first round? When they played us in the Western Conference Final?
Possibly. They may have had a round 2 somewhere in there.
Maybe they didn't make it out of it last year. Colorado beat them. We beat them the year before. I don't know if they made it the year before that. I'm sure as shit they know they got eliminated early.
Well, one of the first years Edmonton was really rising up. They played the Jets, and I remember the Jets were the heavy favorite in that series, and they fucking lost to Edmonton.
Yep.
And that was when Edmonton was even worse than they are now.
Yeah.
You watch. Winnipeg, we're going to have the Arizona Coyotes back, but it's going to be the Winnipeg roster.
They're going to go back. Second time. It's unbelievable. It's happened twice to the same team. Yeah, you're right. In that they kind of need, not kind of, they absolutely need to win a series, get to the Western Conference Final, and then maybe Winnipeg will give a shit. They love hockey, but it's a fucking town of 750,000. It's not a city. It's 750,000 people that live there. It's not sustainable if you don't win.
It's a settlement.
Yeah,
it's a colony.
They have no choice.
That's what they call a drive-through town here.
No, but I think you're right, Tyler. Like, the Jets might lose this series. They're close. They're the closest top seed to losing a series right now because how dominant 2 games were. Yeah. I know we were panicking about those 5-2 losses, right?
Yeah.
But both of those had an empty net goal, so effectively 4-2. Hill wasn't great.
Yeah.
But 7-2 and 5-1, all those goals, those goals were non-empty netters, and that's with Hellebuck pulled twice.
Those are statement games from St. Louis.
Yeah, and they're doing whatever they want. Like I watch those games, and they're just scoring. They're just cycling. They're just faster.
Yeah. Just outplaying them.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel like Winnipeg came in with a
arrogance,
sense of superiority.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, we're just gonna kind of roll these guys over.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll play our game the same way we played all season, and not adjust to the playoff mentality.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to keep in mind: Winnipeg's been without Nick Ehlers and Gabe Vilardi this whole time. Gabe Vilardi, I think he
like
played
a career year, right?
I think he played in the last game, which obviously they lost. Takes a while to get your timing back right. I don't know. I'm not looking at his numbers. Maybe he was a 0. Maybe he was a -4.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about timing when we get back to Colorado and Dallas.
Oh yeah. Good segue.
Sometimes it's very convenient, isn't it?
And who would you think that you would see in Game 3? No, not Game 3. What was the
Game
first
2?
Game 2. No. Was it
Landy was Game 3? Oh, yeah, that's right. He was scratched for 2 games.
And, Big Landy showing up after 3 fucking years, dude.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't look like he's missed a beat.
No, he looks healthy.
Isn't it crazy how, like, after a 3-year injury, somehow that rehab process ended somewhere around
playoffs,
mid-April?
And then luckily luckily for them, he was able to get a game or 2 with the Eagles, and then all of a sudden he's activated.
It's a good thing his name wasn't Mark Landeskog.
Yeah.
Might have an issue.
Or Gabriel Stone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this series has been quite literally insane, right?
Yeah. These guys...
The Avs beat the doors off the Stars in the first game. It didn't look close at all.
We knew this was going to be a heavy hitter battle.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue that game actually was close for a while.
It was like, last 10 minutes got weird?
Something like that. And then I think one of those was an empty netter. So, like, obviously, I'm not taking away from what the Avs did. It got away from the Stars pretty quick. But for most of the game, it was like a 1-goal game or a tie game, I think. So you're like, okay, well, it ended badly, but, I don't know.
There's some pieces here, right?
Let's see. And then Game 2, is that when we were at the last Henderson game?
Yeah, the one that we got fucking obliterated by the also eliminated Bakersfield Condors to go suck a goddamn dick.
Happy Fan Appreciation Night.
Happy Fan Appreciation. It was 8-3. What? No, it was when we played the Condors. So yeah. The playoff game happened the same day as that last game. But anyways,
but yeah, Dallas really gutted out a win in that one.
Yeah, the 5-1 was the Fan Appreciation Night because Colorado beat them and everybody was happy in the bar.
Oh yeah, there's that guy next to us and he was making fun of DeBoer.
Yeah.
Then afterwards we got in the conversation like, why do people hate Pete DeBoer?
Yeah,
like it's not his fault that we lost the
fault.
playoffs that year.
Yeah. But then the next two games, overtime wins by the Stars.
Very close.
What was the stat? It was after that game 3, the Avs had led for 93 minutes of the series, and the Stars were like for 1.
Yeah.
And
it was incredibly lopsided.
The Stars were up 2-1, and then the Avs came out and had a great
They
game.
blanked them too.
Blackwood looked really good.
This one, I feel like this one's going to 7.
Oh, this is gonna go 7.
I think it's going 7.
This is gonna be. It's gonna get more brutal as the series
Yeah.
goes on. Like these two teams already hate each other. We're gonna get to 7, and I guarantee you in game. What's the next game? Game 5. 4. Game 5. I guarantee you, if the Stars go down 2-0, Jamie Benn's gonna do something.
He's gonna kill somebody.
He's gonna
attempt to kill somebody.
He's gonna look for Gabriel Landeskog
Yeah.
on the ice, and he's gonna
Like,
try
you
to
want
take
another
out
3-year break, bud?
Yeah, he's going to try and take out another captain. I can guarantee you that it's going to happen. But I
Yeah.
do think, I don't know, it's going to be a back and forth. I have no
Yeah.
idea who's going to win this series. If you told me it was 2-1, I'm like, oh man, the Stars must be playing really well. They just win in overtime twice. Like, this is a tight series.
I mean, they don't ask how, they ask how many. It's
Yep.
a one-game series. But I will say, as much as I despise both these teams.
Mhm.
I think I hate the Stars a little bit more. But I will give them credit for hanging in there
Mhm.
with Robertson and Heiskanen out.
Yes, they've been playing pretty well. The last game, a game that's been really just a series of horrific goaltending for the losers.
Byfield finally showing up.
Byfield
for
looking
LA.
great, but Edmonton and LA. Edmonton's up 2-1. That first game started out like, okay, LA is going to sweep this series.
Yeah.
And then Edmonton almost came back. They did come back. It was 5-5 at one point. They were down
That's right.
4-0. And they brought
As much as I want to count them out, Edmonton, you can't.
No.
You can't do it.
You can't count out Connor McDavid
You can't.
and Leon Draisaitl. I mean, Evan Bouchard's been dog shit. Like, his defense has been awful. I think the Kings, all the Kings have to do is continue to just play their game and contain what you can on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
They have the more.
But then bully everybody else. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, they've got
Like,
the better
hands down,
goaltender,
right?
better depth.
You just gotta. They're gonna get tired, right?
Yeah.
You got McDavid and Draisaitl out there for 30 minutes a
Oh,
game.
yeah.
It happened last year, the year before.
Mm-hmm.
They granted they went to Game 7.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final, but
But
those guys were playing.
yeah,
out of their
this is the
minds.
best LA team they've had probably since they won the cup, and even then they were like an 8 seed or a 7 seed or something like that.
Right.
And this LA team is just top to bottom, just good, right?
So if we get past Minnesota, who would you be more? I mean, I know the answer, but who would you be more afraid to play?
Oh, LA by
Yeah.
a country mile.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
LA is a team like we talked about with other like us, and we've talked about with like other teams. LA is a team solely built for the playoffs. Like elite puck moving defensemen that are also big and mobile, top to bottom center depth, great wingers. They can score everywhere.
Speed and size.
The goaltender is pretty good. They're one of the most complete teams in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, they just like Tyler said, you really can't count Edmonton out as much
No.
as we would love to.
You can't count out a team with the 2 best players in the
Game
world.
1, man, like I was texting you, I was like, bro, what the fuck
What is
happening?
happening? Yeah.
Because I turned it off halfway through. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna watch the Avs game.
Yeah.
And then I checked the NHL app. I'm like, oh, it went from being like a 4-goal deficit to being tied.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
And then people were like, oh, yeah, because they put McDavid and Draisaitl together and they just played literally the entire fucking second half of the game.
Yeah.
And then the second game, they started that line together. And I don't know. And that's the thing, too. Maybe you can count Edmonton out because that second game, fucking BR Open Ice made this stupid graphic. Like, oh, my God, McDavid and Draisaitl are on the same line. And they posted, like, a picture of, like, Goku and fucking the other character that I don't know, Vegeta, because I don't watch Dragon Ball. But I was like, this is so fucking cringe. And then they lose, what, 6-2. And all I could say was... POV, you had the two best players in the world, and you still can't form two scoring lines because the rest of your team is so bad.
Yeah, and then the next game, the Oilers won 7-4. Was that a boost at being at home? I think so. Yeah, was it also a boost of Skinner not being your goaltender for a little bit?
Well, it was that, and then keep in mind this game was tied in the third.
Yeah, that's right.
I know you said you're like, oh, well, I get it. To me, I'm like, the refs handed that game on a silver platter to the fucking Oilers to keep the series alive.
They gave them a penalty, which the Oilers scored on, and then didn't. That goal that was on Kemper was the challenge. Yeah, and then they immediately scored on that. So it was 3 goals within, I think, 5 to 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, Bouchard power play goal at 13:28. Connor McDavid empty net 18:20. Connor Brown empty net.
Yeah, 2 empty netters. So effectively, this game was really only 5-4.
Yeah,
5-4.
You can see LA was trying to do whatever they could to get.
Yeah, no, it's a tight. It's not like this wasn't a game of like, oh, the Oilers are back. It's like, oh, it was a 5-4 game.
Yeah,
they had to have some gifts. To win this, and then 2 empty netters. I think LA is still the better team, and they play tonight, I think, right?
Yeah. I take LA in the series.
Yeah.
Just because they've been so strong.
Yeah. I think they'll have a good response, yeah.
If they can neutralize, even for 20 minutes.
Slow down,
15 minutes. Draisaitl and McDavid, they're gonna beat them.
Yes, I agree.
I think they're gonna beat them.
Because look at in that last game, look at the goals. It was Wright, Nugent Hopkins first, and then Bouchard, and then Kempe, and then Fiala, and then Doughty. So they were up. They were leading that game at one point, and then Brown scored, and then Moore. So
I'm
it's
pretty
a tight
sure
game.
Noted woman respecter
Evander
Kane scored.
He had a goal in the third period.
Speaking of convenient timings of surgeries,
yeah.
You have one surgery before the year starts. Around January or February, you decide suddenly you need a second surgery. Mm-hmm. And then somehow all these surgeries are spaced out in a way where your recovery timeline is the
just
first
perfect.
round of the playoffs. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Elliot Friedman basically said, he's like, well, the only reason these guys aren't playing game one is because the league is clamping down. And so, basically, Kachuk, that's why Sagan played game 82. Mm-hmm. They're either playing game 82 or game 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what they're all doing. But guys, I was told
this
is
the bad
against
guy,
the rules.
Right?
This is against the rules. It's against the spirit of the game. It's illegal, sir.
Yeah.
But I will also add one more note. Calvin Pickard. Pickard. It's probably Pickard. I think I'm only saying Pickard because of
Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah,
I think it's Pickard.
Yeah. So Calvin Pickard started the last game. He's starting again tonight.
Is he?
So Stuart Skinner has lost his job, but keep in mind, Pickard still let in 4 gols.
Yeah, Darcy
Kemper. And they really only won in the third period because of some bullshit.
So Darcy Kemper was 34 saves or shots allowed. He allowed 5. He had an 8.53 with 34 shots. That's a lot. Pickard, whatever. He 28 shots allowed, 4 goals, 8.57. So same stats. Despite the loss and Kemper getting screwed, right? And then the 2 games before that, Kemper's been pretty good. I just think
these are higher scoring games too, so you can kind of see defensive failures. And
I think that first game was just a full on collapse by the Kings. They got up and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be great," and then just fucking you can't count it. Like Jacob, you both said, you can't count out Edmonton. McDavid and Draisaitl.
Because when those boys go down, they're the type of players that
would you say that they lock in? Right fucking now?
I would say that. But no, I was just going to say I think what it really is that I think, the high-scoring games on Edmonton's side, it's because they have fucking Connor McDavid and
totally.
literally no other reason. And then on the LA side, it's because
they're a good team.
they're a good team, and because Edmonton's defense is so fucking bad.
Atrocious.
They just refuse to fix it, and people refuse to talk about it. Like, it kills me, the fact that, they added Jake Wallman at the deadline, and everyone was like, oh, my God, this is it. It's fixed. Also, Ty Emberson is secretly good. No,
he's not.
It's a bad defense. And Stuart Skinner has been good, but I promise you, no goalie would be good on that team.
No.
That is where goalies go to fucking die.
No, I agree. I wanted to see if I could pull up stats for this series. Yeah. So the it's just the game series summary. Here you go. I wanted to look. Okay. So the only defenseman. There's only 2 defensemen that on this team that are a plus for the Oilers. You want to guess who they are?
Oof.
Only two players that are a plus.
For not being on the ice?
Brett Kulak is a +2, and Jake Wallman's a +5.
+5. Wow. Congratulations.
Evan Bouchard's a -1, despite having 2 goals and 3 assists.
Yikes.
And he has the... Let's see. He has the second most time on ice, only behind Darnell Nurse. That's not good. God only knows. And then Stu Skinner played 2 games, 0-2, 11 goals allowed on 58 shots, 8-10. And then Pickard, 2 games played, 5 goals allowed on 31 shots, 8-39. So not much different, save percentage-wise. Whereas Kemper is 12 goals allowed on 85 shots and 8.59. So not as good as you think, but making timely saves where Skinner wasn't, right? But yeah, I think LA is going to win, and they are a scary group.
That is... Oh.
Habs just scored again.
I honestly kind of hope Edmonton wins out, so assuming we make it to the second round, that we play Edmonton, because I'd feel much more comfortable playing against Edmonton
than LA. Yeah. LA. Here's another thing though, like I know everybody's talking about Kempe scoring a lot, right? 4 goals, great. 5 assists, 9 points. He's a -4. He's been on the ice for a lot of the goals, so he's scoring, but he's not defending. So that's something to think about. And same with Kopitar. Kopitar down. I mean, because obviously they're going to be playing a lot more, right? But their top guys aren't defensively sound right now. Whereas Byfield, where is he at? Where's that crazy man? 3 games played, 2 goals, an assist, 3 points. But he's a -3. So I think it all came out of that last game, though. But yeah, LA is scary.
LA they bodied us.
Yeah, LA is the one that scares me the most of the Western Conference. If we were to make it out against the Wild, obviously we'll see.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's plenty of hockey to play. Game 5's on Tuesday. Jake and I will be there, and
I will not.
You will not. Hey, you'll be watching it here in spirit.
So you will be in our hearts, and we're only going to be there because I happen to win tickets.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to pay $200 a seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's on Tuesday, and obviously we'll talk again. I don't know if all 3 of us are
electric game that's going to be.
We'll see where we're at next Saturday. If you don't hear from us, we're probably dead in a ditch somewhere. Blew our brains out in fucking Lake Minnetonka.
I'll never ask you guys to have me on again. I quit.
I quit because I'm dead. Jacob, this is a solo podcast.
I'll just be ranting into the fucking microphones for 40 minutes like Mark Maron. But no, we'd love to have you again, Tyler, whenever you're free.
This is good.
But yeah, so that really is that simple. Next week we'll either be in it or we'll be out.
Yep, exactly.
We'll talk about it then, and it'll either be an autopsy or it'll be a hype.
For the next round. Yeah, could go either way. We'll see. But until next time, stay gold.
Stay gold.
Stay gold.